Sports Zone update.
Well, the NFL owners' meetings are ongoing down in Palm Beach, Florida. Several rule changes were approved this morning, though the one the Packers submitted, banning the tush push, got tabled, going to be discussed at a later date. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst met the media yesterday. It was the first time he had spoken since the start of free agency. Green Bay added several players, including likely starters in Aaron Banks and Nate Hobbs, but they didn't add a pass rusher or a number one wide receiver like many perhaps thought they would, especially after Gutekunst said that there needed to be some urgency to start competing for Super Bowl titles. But Gutekunst says that word means more than just player acquisition.
We went after a couple top targets. We were able to acquire them. I think that really is going to help our football team. So the urgency comment is across the board. I think it's for our players, it's for our organization, and just how we're going to approach things.
The NFL draft fast approaching, going to take place in Green Bay. That is impacting the start of the offseason program for the Packers, with in-person work beginning a week later than normal. Draft gets going 3 weeks from Thursday. Turn to the Badgers after a week off for spring break. Back on the field for 2.5 hours this morning. Going to hold their spring game coming up April 19th.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Farmers deal with a lot, including long days, stress, and fatigue. This is your reminder to take breaks, stretch, have a snack, and hydrate your body. Avoid farm accidents by keeping yourself healthy. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how Rural Mutual supports Wisconsin farmers and prioritize safety on the farm.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, it is game day for the Bucks. They're going to be hosting the Suns tonight at Fiserv Forum as they look to snap a 4-game losing streak. And the Brewers also back in action tonight at American Family Field as they look for their first win in the second game of their series against the Royals. Milwaukee 0-4 for the first time since 2015. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
I mean, worry's a waste of time. We just got to get busy. We got great people in that room, and I believe in that room. I believe in this team. You guys can laugh at me if you want, but I believe in this team. A lot of these guys are still very, very young.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
I love Murph. Not exactly a confidence-inducing comment there from after the game yesterday. And I don't know what Pat Murphy was supposed to say to make us feel much better. The Brewers have yet to win a game, and they've gotten clocked in their last 3 contests. So I guess I don't know what I was expecting Pat Murphy to say. I would have preferred on the last day of March, no less. Calendar had yet to turn to April at this time yesterday. I guess I just expected or hoped for something more confidence-inducing than, hey, I still believe in this team. You can call me crazy if you want, but I do. It's like, well, I hope so. It's not even April yet. We have yet to enter the first full month of the season. And you're like, hey, I believe in them. Call me crazy if you want. But, man, I hope you're not crazy for believing that. Otherwise, what are we going to do with ourselves for the next 6 months? Like, I should hope so. And then the final comment, there's like, hey, a lot of these guys are still really young. It's like, well, some of them are, like Frelick and Terang and Churio, sure. But good God, what about Yelich, who does not look awesome to start the year, and Contreras, who looks horrible to start the year, and Hoskins, who I don't know. And I know it's only 4 games. But those are the only 4 games that we have to go off, and those 4 games really could not have gone much worse. So let me just get out in front of it before we even begin the show. Don't call in today and be like, it's a long season. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm worried about. What if this team blows? What are we going to do with ourselves? Really, since this show started, the first time that this show went on the air was August of 2018, and it's still a miracle my boss let me do it. So this has been 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It'll be 7 years the show's been on the air every day this fall. 7 years. And in the previous 6, the Brewers have been good every year. They have either made the playoffs and been a legitimate contender, minus 2020, but what did 2020 even mean for anybody? And the one year they missed the playoffs, we had the Hader trade, which was the best Brewers topic. That might have been a more entertaining, interesting summer for talk radio than any of the years they actually made the playoffs. So, man, if this team stinks, as Pat Murphy says, like, hey, you can laugh at me if you want, but I still believe in this team. You know what I mean? Like, I hope so, because if not, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. This is uncharted territory for me.
I mean, worry's a waste of time. We just got to get busy. We got great people in that room.
I agree with.
I believe in that room. I believe in this team. You guys can laugh at me if you want, but I believe in this team. And I believe that They'll learn from this. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to be in a different spot now where you're not sweeping your first series. And it's a lot of these guys are still very, very young in the game.
A lot to learn, no doubt. It's the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Happy to be back after being off yesterday. I hope that some of you tuned into the show last night and thought, oh, well, Grant's not live, which is kind of a bummer. But you know what? I appreciate that guy for recording a show ahead of time, giving us his reaction to the games over the weekend to make sure we weren't totally high and dry on Monday evening. I hope some of you had that thought process yesterday. And wasn't Kurt great? He always delivers. Kurt Hogue from the Journal Sentinel. But happy to be back tonight. Take your calls to react to the start of the Brewers season. 608-321-1670. Comments on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Show live streams with video so you can see what's taking place as well. At Wisco Grant on Twitter if you want to interact with the show that way. Otherwise, call and text. We'll be taking lots of calls from some fired up Brewers fans tonight. I recorded yesterday's show early, like I said. I recorded 3 segments Sunday morning. And then I recorded that interview with Kurt Sunday evening after the game had ended, right? And I was critical in those 3 segments because I recorded most of the show without seeing Sunday's game. And I was critical because how could you not be? They had yet to win a game, and they had just lost 20-9 the day before. But part of me was also measured because I'm like, well, if I record this super angry show and then they go on to win today and then they win tomorrow, like I'm going to sound silly on this show that's supposed to run Monday night. So I got to take it a little easy. I don't want to completely come at this team because who knows what could happen over the next 48 hours. And I don't want to look dumb, although, I mean, that's going to happen anyways. I was pretty measured. Between Sunday night and yesterday, I wish I would have wanted the Brewers harder on this pre-recorded show on the podcast, on the show that was out on Sunday. I wish I would have slammed this team harder. And I do realize they're injured. Okay. And I realize you can't win every game. Sometimes when people attend games in person, as I did yesterday, and the team loses, fans get a little extra riled up because there's this certain sense of self-worth or obligation. I purchased a ticket. I drove to the ballpark. I deserve better as a fan. It's like buying produce, right? It's always a gamble to a degree, right? You need to be willing to go to a game knowing that you might not see a great game. But I think sometimes fans, maybe we place a little bit too much value on a loss that we attend in person. That's human nature. So I realized I was at the game yesterday. Maybe I'm a little extra prickly because of that. And they're injured. It's a long season. All of the qualifiers, yes. But this is embarrassing. Okay? They have a run differential at this moment in time through 4 games of -32. The only team relatively close, and not just the National League, but all Major League Baseball, are the also 0-4 Twins who are -22. I believe the Braves are -19, and then everyone else is like -10 at worst. Like the Brewers are in a class of their own. And according to StatHead, look this up today, the last time a team has had this bad of a run differential, the previous record holder was the 1978 Baltimore Orioles. The Brewers set a record for their run differential for the first 4 games of the season. This is historically bad. And I know you've been following, but I want to hammer this home one more time. The scores of these games so far have been 4-2, 20-9, 12-3, and 11-1. Like this is as bad as it really could possibly be. And I think especially yesterday, Sunday, and Saturday, these games have been a matter of heart and attitude and pride and competitive spirit. And you know what? Respect for your fans. And I know I was at the game yesterday, and I might be, again, a little extra prickly because I felt like, well, I attended this game. This team should put on for me. But it's the home opener. It's a little different. If I buy a $18 ticket to sit in the nosebleeds at Tuesday night game against the Marlins in July, okay, we're just going to the ballpark to dick around. You know what I mean? But yesterday, like I do think the team does have a certain obligation, a certain respect factor for the fans to show up and to perform and to compete. If not yesterday, then when? Right? I think these last 3 games have been a little bit of all of that attitude and pride and competitive nature and heart. And yesterday, especially respect for your fans. Don't throw dirt in your fans' face. It's your home opener. You're honoring Bob Uecker. The ballpark is as packed as it's going to be all season long until the postseason, if that's going to happen. And yesterday, they looked like they couldn't be bothered to play a competitive baseball game. And it felt a little bit like a slap in the face as a fan who was sitting there. And I would imagine maybe some other Brewers fans feel the same way. And don't get me wrong. I really try to be careful, and I think radio hosts should be really careful when they're on the air and they get a microphone in your face so you feel all important and you feel like you can make these bold statements, these grand statements. I think you got to be really careful when you're questioning a player's heart because you're not in that locker room, right? I'm not a beat reporter. I don't get to talk to these guys every day. And it's sometimes unfair to watch on the TV and go, does that guy even care? Because come on, like that's like, I think that's a crummy thing that radio people do, sports radio people do. But I think in this instance, I'm being very fair because A, I have eyes, they're connected to my brain. And B, Yelich talked about this yesterday. Yelich said this after the game. This is why I know I'm barking up the right tree.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 4 games, but we got to do better. It's unacceptable to do that, over the course of 4 games. There's different kinds of losses, but we have to be better than that. And we will be. There's a lot of season left, obviously, but we can get things turned around and start to play better in really all facets of the game. It goes that way sometimes, and I know we didn't do that last year. Every year's a new year, and we got a good team and a group. We just need to do better.
Basically said, yeah, that's unacceptable. Like, yeah, we're going to lose games. It's a 162-game season. You're going to have bad stretches. You're going to have bad games. You can't lose that game that way in front of a packed house on the day you honor Euchre, on your home opener, coming off of 2 blowouts to the Yankees. It would be one thing if they came in 1-2, 2-1, 3-0, and then you have a stinker. Okay. It still sucks. But if there was ever a game where you should show up with your, as Matt LaFleur would say, your piss hot, whatever that means, it should be yesterday. And it looked like, oh, God, you got to play a baseball game today? Like, come on. And it starts with their best players. Like, I'm looking at Chourio, Yelich, Contreras, Hoskins, I guess, too, because, that Pat Murphy comment, he says, a lot of these guys are still very young in this game.
A lot of these guys are still very, very young.
Yelich isn't. Hoskins definitely isn't, right? Hoskins, he's a vet. So those are the players that you're looking at to provide energy, to set the standard for the younger guys, to drive the ball, produce runs, lead the charge offensively. Mike Heller tweeted this today. So if this is wrong, blame Mike Heller, but Mike's a pro, so I bet it's right. I bookmarked the tweet. Those 4, Chourio, Yelich, Contreras, and Hoskins, through 4 games. 5 for 55 with 2 doubles, 0 home runs, 3 RBIs, and 20 strikeouts. Not going to cut the mustard. They are dead in the water if that's what they're getting from Chourio, Yelich, Contreras, and Hoskins. And I think Contreras has been the worst of them all. I heard on the broadcast this weekend, watching, I think it might have been Saturday's game, maybe Sunday's game, one of the Yankees games I was watching on the FanDuel Sports Network. And maybe it was Rock. I don't remember. One of the commentators, maybe it was Sophia, mentioned, well, Contreras finished. What did he finish in MVP voting last year? Like 4th? I'm like, holy balls, did he really? And his second half was just lesser than his first half. His first half was unbelievable. And then he just kind of tapered off a little bit. And Contreras left a bad taste in my mouth last season because in that Mets series, it kind of looked like he didn't want to be out there. Like, body language is very real. I think it matters, especially in such a mental game like baseball. But I think Contreras has been the worst of them all. Jackson Chourio struck out 5 times on opening day, and I'm still looking at Chourio sideways or looking at Contreras more than I'm looking at Chourio because, like, I think Contreras is hurting them on like 3 or 4 or 5 different fronts. Okay, so Chourio hasn't swung the bat. That hurts the Brewers. Yelich hasn't been swinging the bat well. It hurts the Brewers. I'm told that he misplayed a ball in left field yesterday. I don't know. I was sitting on the Casamigos patio. It happened under me. I didn't see it. So I'm so, whoa, Grant, why don't you go back and watch the highlights? Yeah, I'll get right on that. I'm sure that's a long YouTube video. I'm sure there's lots of good stuff in there. I go back and watch highlights of the game I had to attend. I'd love to relive that. So maybe Yelich made a boo-boo in the field yesterday. I don't know. I didn't see it. But Contreras, has been a negative or a 0, however you want to put it, offensively. I thought his framing was poor yesterday. He made a comment in the postgame. Well, the missed a call. Well, frame the ball better, dude. I thought his framing has been poor. A couple runners stole yesterday, basically uncontested. Like, Contreras didn't really look like he was interested in holding him on. And I one of my group chats was talking about this. Again, I didn't see the broadcast. Someone said, like, Rock made a comment on the FanDuel Sports Network. God, such a charade. I hate that, but that's a side note. Someone said that Rock said, well, even a good throw doesn't get him. But I think a good throw could have got him. Like, I don't think he got that good of a jump, and then he stole third. Like, Contreras, he had nothing. He had nothing for these base runners who were kind of stealing at will. Seemed a little lazy. I think his pitch calling has been the worst of all, he's sucked at it so far this year, and he sucked at it a little bit last year too. And Murph, anytime a starter or a reliever has a good performance, Murph's got to talk about it in the postgame. He'll be the first to say, well, Contreras called a hell of a game. The way that he managed, the way that he scripted the game. I think he sucked at it this season. I think he sucked at it a lot last season too. 54 of Elvin Rodriguez's pitches yesterday were fastballs. His best pitch is his slider. The Royals were lighting up fastballs, and Contreras, like Herb Brooks and Miracle, said, again, throw me another 89-mile-an-hour four-seamer that's going to get tattooed over the bullpen in left field. Just keep him coming. Contreras like fastball, laying down sides. None of these guys have any heat. Freddie is the only guy who can throw with any velocity, and his fastball usage somehow is the lowest of them all. Buster Olney tweeted this last night. Maybe you saw it if you're on Twitter and you were wallowing in your Brewers pain. I saw this got some Brewers fans fired up, and I'm scrolling. I bookmarked a lot of Brewers crap the last couple of nights. Holy smokes. Buster Olney was pointing out average velocities of different teams and different pitching staffs around the league, and now I don't see it, so I'm just going to look up Buster Olney. The Brewers are at the bottom of average velocity. It's not close. He tweets, the Brewers rank dead last in average pitching. The Brewers rank dead last in average pitching four-seam fastball velocity in 2025 by far. The bottom four teams are the D-backs at 93.8, the Royals at 93.8, the Yankees at 93.6, and then the Brewers at 88.9. And William Contreras is like, again. Elvin Rodriguez, you have a nice slider. Throw me another 90-mile-per-hour meatball. Put it right over the middle. They get tattooed over the center field or over the left field fence. Tyler Korth, I believe it's pronounced, reviewing the Brew, tweeted today, Brewers starting pitching fastball usage plus type through 4 games, followed by home runs allowed on those pitches. Freddie Peralta throws a four-seamer 55% of the time. He surrendered 2 home runs. I would like to put Freddie Peralta to the side of this conversation because one of those home runs is only a home run at Yankee. Okay, so he gives up 1 solo shot in the start. It's not that bad. Nestor Cortez, 81% of the time, throwing 4 seams and cutters, gave up 5 home runs. Savali throwing a 4-seamer or a sinker 67% of the time. Savali is a guy with a full complement of pitches, by the way, far from a fastball merchant. He gave up 3 home runs. And then Rodriguez yesterday, 85% of the called pitches were between his 4-seamer and cutter, and it was getting blasted. I don't get it. And maybe that this is, they lost Walker McKibben this offseason. I've seen some people on Brewers Twitter pointing out, like, is this what Chris Hook, Chris Hook wants this many fastballs from these guys who can barely touch 90? And that's Contreras. Unless it's coming from somewhere in the dugout, I don't get it. So I understand that they're struggling to get people out because the bullpen's overworked and they don't have enough healthy starters. But I've been really disappointed in Yelich so far. I've been disappointed in Churiel, although he's a kid. I'm disappointed in Hoskins, although if the Brewers are expecting him to be a big-time producer in their 3rd or 4th most important bat, I think they'll be disappointed this year. I am far and away mostly disappointed in Contreras because I think a catcher has many different responsibilities, and by and large, I think Contreras has sucked at all of them through 4 games. So those are my opening thoughts. The Yankees series yesterday. Brewers fans, I would love to hear from you. 608-321-1670 to your phone calls next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes.
Appreciate seeing that.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Es cuestión de juego, me encantó lo que hizo y bien por él.
No, I loved what he did there. He was defending me. In my opinion, I think the umpire had a terrible game back there, and that's he had my back there in that situation, and I loved what Ricky went out there and did.
It's Contreras after the game yesterday, and he's not wrong. Like, the ump missed some calls. There's a Twitter account that does the ump scorecard for every single game. It's very interesting. Bro, you lost 11-1. Stuff it. Like, I don't care. That game was over in the second inning, and everyone in the ballpark felt it. Everyone knew it. So I'm not really mad that the Brewers lost yesterday, because sometimes you attend a game, and I was at the game yesterday. Sometimes you attend a game, and you feel like you're owed a good game. Well, I purchased a ticket. And sometimes you see a loss, and it happens. And you can't let the fact that you were at the game and that you bought a ticket, you can't let that color your perception of what you saw. But that game was over in the second inning. And for long stretches of that game, for most of the game, most of the guys looked like they couldn't be bothered to play an engaged competitive game of baseball. And that's really disappointing considering what happened in New York. And yesterday was your home opener, honoring Bob Uecker. I thought the pregame ceremonies, the video was like, it was great. It was celebrate Uecker. It was also really sad. It was moving. And you had that going on in the ballpark. And then you have a team that looks like they couldn't be bothered to play or to compete. And it kind of felt like a slap in the face to Brewers fans yesterday. And I think the team should feel that a little bit. And Yelich said it after the game. That's unacceptable. We can't be doing that. Thank you for saying it. Now, I don't feel like such a jerk about saying it on the radio. 608-321-1670. All right, Brewers fans, what do you think? Let's take some calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
I think that the spirit of this Brewers organization is 6 feet under right now with Bob Uecker.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I had the take when he died, rest in peace, King, that this season is either going to be Brewers win the World Series or they just absolutely suck.
Yeah.
And right now they just absolutely suck.
Well, and I referenced it on yesterday's show, and maybe this is worth talking about. Cone, your first side of the show, you brought this up. If anyone else feels this way, we can discuss it more tonight, but I made it a part of last night's pre-recorded show or the podcast for those who listen. Like, Joe Buck tweeted over the weekend, like, yeah, in talking with a lot of the Brewers players and personnel, that team feels a loss. So I don't really want to hear it from Mark as an excuse, but maybe it's like, maybe this is too much like the Hader trade. Like, oh, the team is really feeling it. At some point, you got to play ball, but that's a huge loss. And we've heard from multiple people that team is really feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Uecker, he's the spirit of the Milwaukee Brewers. Josh Hader was just a picky closer that couldn't pitch 2 days in a row.
That's true. That's very true. That's very, very true. I don't know. I don't want to tell the team to toughen up because you got baseball to play. I mean, that's sometimes it's not humanly possible. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of grief, but I mean, good God, they look like they're ready for the season to be done. It's April 1st, Cone.
Yes, I agree, but I do feel better having Pat Murphy at the helm. If this was a Craig Counsell coach team, I think this team would be deader than dead. Right now, they're hanging on. I do give Murphy a little bit of slack just with the pitcher injuries. This is insane. Yeah, injury-wise, I know it can sound like an excuse, but I mean, what, you're missing 6 out of your 8 top pitchers, something like that. Like that is kind of crazy, especially for the Brewers who don't have many names to begin with.
Yeah, right. Like the injuries are a real thing.
Myers is a loss. We're in a bad spot if Tobias Myers is a big loss.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Right. And some of the guys they're missing, Myers is one, DL Hall. Aaron Ashby, guys like that. I appreciate the call, Cone. We just got loaded phone lines. The injuries are a real thing. I'm not saying it's a legit excuse, but like but how does that affect Yelich, Contreras, Hoskins, Churio? Can we put together some good at bats? Contreras behind the plate, can you look engaged? Like you want to be out there? Can you not be giving up free steals and just mailing it in? Yeah, throw another fastball. Who cares if they hit it? We're already down 6 runs. Another 4-seamer, bring it in. Like the pitching is real, yeah. The veterans at the top of the order, the offense, the body language, the rest of it, that's really tough. And I don't want to make excuses for that. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
The ballpark was nice. I mean, it's beautiful. It turned out to be a beautiful day. Sun was coming through those top windows above the first baseline. The Euchre tribute was moving, but then the game had to play. But there was a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. This is Corey out of Marshall. I'm sure
what's up,
you
Corey?
recognize the voice. So I'm more concerned that Pat Murphy's already reaching into the cliche bag here, and we're 4 games in. This is more when it's like Memorial Day, and you're like, 20 and 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's when you start going to the I still believe in this team cliche.
Sure.
Right now, and he's still using these guys are young cliche. I'm like, well, your best player was a rookie last year. So I get the concept that he's young by definition, but by like actual playing time, he's not really young anymore. Even though guy just turned 21, I'm probably not giving enough,
No, he's still young.
You.
You don't think of him as you think of a usual 21-year-old. That doesn't mean he's not young, though. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like he has experience. The guy was a 2020 player last year, home runs and stolen bases. So it feels a bit like either they're pressing too much on offense because they're trying to really like win it for Uke, or it's the opposite, like you said, where they're just going through the motions and they're like feel like they're disembodied because this guy that was around there for 50 years is now passed away, which I don't know which one would be worse. Probably I think that one would be worse, the latter versus the former, because the former you can kind of fix, right? You just say, okay, we just got to like let this flow. We can't just sit here and force it per se. But your points about Contreras just having him lobbing fastballs when I saw that tweet that you mentioned, I was like, you got to be bleeping kidding me that they're asking these guys to throw fastballs.
Yeah.
And these are like batting practice pitchers.
Well, especially
AAA and quadruple A guys.
Especially Savali. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll let you get going, Grant. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it, Corey.
Good observations of you.
Well, thank you. And you yourself, Corey and Marshall. Oh God. And Cone's point is a good one. I just listened to Corey's take there. It's like, well, maybe they're trying to win it for Euchre too hard. Like, oh God, this is gonna be a long year. I do think Churio specifically, and I don't know anything about anything, but he looks overamped. He looks like I'm so jacked to get up there and start hitting again. Like he looks too fired up. Like he's got to calm it down a little bit. I can't say the same for Churio, or not Churio, but Contreras. He looks indifferent. He looks like he did against the Mets last year. Like, oh, games aren't going my way. Oh. Like that's how he reads to me. I don't know anything about anything. These are just my observations. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's Uncle Packer.
Hey, Uncle Packer, what's up?
Not much. Just thinking it's pretty early yet, 4 games into the season. But,
Quite.
I think the Bob Uecker thing is a deal. I really do. I grew up with Bob Uecker. He was Mr. Baseball, not Mr. October. He was Mr. Baseball. He was big to us.
He was. Wait, I just want to repeat what you said. He was Mr. Baseball. He wasn't Mr. October. That's.
I met Reggie Jackson one time. And I called him Mr. October. Pretty cool. He's a nice guy. He was a real nice guy to me. Anyway, another story. But I wanted to say about Bob Uecker. It's been 5-6 months since Devin Williams threw that fat ball to that chunky guy from New York, and he poked it out, and we lost and went home with our tails between our legs. Sad. I just was so big on last year. I'm having a hard time, but I've watched every game. I hate to say it. I'm addicted. I watched every game, and it's sad. All I can say is that we're gonna hopefully look back at this when we're winning, saying, hey, we started out slow, but I'm always optimistic, but we're going to do good in the future.
Well, yeah.
And
yes. Go ahead.
I hope we come out. I just hope we come out of this. You know, I spent many years with the Brewers were irrelevant, and it's not as much fun as when they're relevant. And they've been relevant lately, and I'm addicted to it.
I would,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's a good point. Like you say, you're addicted to relevancy. You know, every year I've hosted the show since 2018, they've been in the mix. We've gotten spoiled to a degree. We're not stacking World Series championships, but there are teams who haven't been relevant in forever, right? And Uncle Packer, like, well, I hope they turn around. Yeah, me too. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going to talk about all summer. I'm going to have to turn into Bukowski or Andy Herman, just new Packers topic every day. That's no fun. I like baseball too much. All right, one more call, then we'll take a break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, Coyote Mike. How about you?
Well, I'm not walking, so I'm just sitting in the backyard right now.
Wow.
I figured I would give you a break from listening to me walk down the trail.
Yeah, take a load off every once in a while. You get your steps in. Relax a little bit.
That's right. So I listened to your show yesterday, and I thought the points you brought up about missing Bob Uecker, I think there might be some validity to that, just like you said. And I am like 1,200 miles away, and I don't feel that connection like I had. And I mentioned that to you few weeks ago. Like, I didn't really pay much attention to the Brewers in the preseason because Bob wasn't there. And now I look at it, you know, I was able to watch some of these games on the MLB channel, and they do look just like they're kind of moving in a fog, going through the motions. And, you know, some of the guys I think are playing with some intensity. I think Frelick and Terang are holding their own. But like Yelich, he should have made that catch in the left field corner yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see it. It was under me. I didn't see it, so I'll have to take your word for it.
And you're right on Contreras. You know, just watching him, he just kind of seemed to be ho hum. And when Rodriguez threw those first two strikes to the first batter, those things were right down the alley. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if this happens, they're going to be teeing off on him. And sure enough, you know, I caught up with him and some of the other guys as well.
Well, of course, it was Hunter Renfroe. I said to the man sitting next to me, I said, if Hunter Renfroe knocks these two runners in, I'm jumping off the balcony. And he goes, I'll catch you. I said, no, I don't want you to. I'm not interested in that. Like, I didn't come here to watch Hunter Renfroe bang balls off of Elvin Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Elvin Rodriguez?
I know. And then there's Cortez. So I'm thinking, I watch Cortez, I'm going like, does Cortez have a kind of a bit of sour grapes because he comes back to New York City, the bright lights, big city, and then he realizes he's stuck in little Milwaukee, and all of a sudden his heart, you know, is in his shoes.
He's lucky that he's in Milwaukee the way that he pitched opening weekend, because that wouldn't fly if he was on one of those East Coast teams.
And then the last thing is that, remember last year the Brewers swept the Mets.
I do.
And
remember.
The Mets went 0-5, and I believe they had a terrible April.
Yeah, they sucked.
But what happened? They came back, got in the playoffs, and beat the Brewers. So I'm not ready to throw dirt on or put a tombstone up for these 25 Brewers, but I am considerably worried that the ghost of Bob Uecker might be somehow holding these guys back, because Bob isn't there to tell everybody, don't worry, we only lost 4 games. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you hear Murphy say that, but Murphy's probably trying to pull something out of his bag of tricks, because he's probably never seen something like this happen either.
Well, he doesn't know who's starting tomorrow or the next day. Coyote Mike, that's a great call. Relax a little bit. You don't have to be walking all the time. The Joe Buck comment that I referenced yesterday, and I brought it up on the show. Yesterday's show was pre-recorded, so if you skipped out and you're like, I'll just come back tomorrow, that's fine. I just didn't want to run a complete like best of clip show because there were 3 Brewer games to react to. And I talked about it with Kurt was on, and I brought this up to Kurt. Joe Buck tweeted on Saturday. I came very close Thursday to saying just a bit outside, but I thought it may not be taken right. Baseball in Milwaukee can't do enough to celebrate him. That team feels a deep loss. It was evident when talking to some of the guys the other day. So I don't want to sit here and be like, well, the Brewers are sad. That's why they're losing, because Uecker's gone, because it feels a little hater trade-ish. Different circumstances, but kind of the same argument. But when Joe Buck and others are saying like, yeah, that team feels it. And it might have been palpable in the ballpark yesterday too. I'm not sure. I had a beer. It's tough. You know, when I have a beer, it's tough to, what, you want me to gauge the complex emotions of 40,000 people? I had 3 Miller Lights. I wasn't gauging my own emotions. I was threatening to jump over the railing if Hunter Renfroe knocked in a couple runs. So don't ask me. But Joe Buck, I bookmarked that tweet, and I told you yesterday, just keep that in the back of your mind. I'll get to some of your texts on the other side of this break.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Brewers. I have told Gene that it was a very funny moment yesterday to watch you in the first inning, the top of the first, with the Brewers on the field playing defense. A little dribbler goes back to the mound. I think there was a runner on first, maybe a guy on second as well. The pitcher picks up the ball and has no play at either base, and there's no outs and no runs have scored yet. But Grant goes, God, this team sucks. And it was the first inning, and nothing had even happened yet. I mean, like, we just had this beautiful tribute to Bob Uecker. Everybody was eating macaroni and cheese and having a good time, drinking drinks that were free. And all of a sudden, Grant Bills let the cat out of the cage. And I appreciated it as a fan, as a Boston guy who, like, loses his mind and goes, like, completely nuclear when his team doesn't do what he wants him to do. I appreciated seeing that from you, a mild-mannered Midwesterner. I thought you would be like, oh, geez, or oh, shucks. Mm-hmm. But no, you're like, this team effing sucks. And it was good to see the cat get out of the cage. I got to be honest.
I did say that multiple times yesterday. I booed a few times too. Not because they lost, but they looked like they didn't have any interest playing baseball on their home opener. When everyone's there fired up, we've all taken off of work. I leave my listeners high and dry. That's why I was so frustrated yesterday. I was thinking about all of you. I was like, oh, I'm not live on the air tonight. I'm porking my listeners, and this is what I get in return. Not just a loss. Whatever, I can handle a loss. I've seen that before. I was at Game 2 in 2018, the NLCS. I can take a loss. But it's like, look, if you guys weren't interested in playing baseball today, we all just could have saved our money. We could have done this at another time. It's fine. I didn't have to take the shuttle bus from Stenny's. I didn't have to do that. 3 buses full of folks came over from La Crosse through WKTY and our radio group in La Crosse. By the way, that audio coming back from the break was from Rock Mornings this morning with Brian and Gene. I do a Tuesday hit, and it's fun to do a different style of radio. I grew up listening to Tom Bernard in the KQRS morning show, Terry Train, and that whole crew. So it's fun to do a rock radio with Brian and Gene and talk sports. But I was sitting with Simpson yesterday and his wife, and I think I don't know if he was taken aback. I think I just showed up to the ballpark yesterday with my guard up. Basically, I walked through the doors of the ballpark like, if these losers pull the same stuff today that they pulled the last 2 days, I'm going to let them hear it. I booed a little bit. It's not like I was screaming. There was one instance where we were sitting on the Casamigos patio in upper left field, which, by the way, great spot to sit when the roof is closed and it's not hot. But I have gone to the ballpark before the last couple of summers. Normally, I try to sit on the first base line, and we've had work tickets that are positioned over there. But that's typically where I'm going to games with families or whatever, with my family, because the sun hits the third base line. And that patio in left field, the Casamigos patio, is that's the straightest angle that gets nailed by the sun. So yesterday, it was a great place to sit. There was food and drink. And I was kind of switching around because we had a lot of listeners. WOZN and Ebo was there, and Kate was there. Another producer of Bill's show. She helps fill in when I can't be there, which is probably more often than Bill would like. But there was an instance where the 2 people in front of me, 2 older folks, I would say early 70s, and they were both, it's funny because you watch highlights of sporting events in the 70s or the 80s or even into the 90s. People didn't wear jerseys to games. They wore business casual. So these 2 older folks in front of me, this couple, and a man had his nice, what's the type of jacket that Walter White wore? Like a tan, collared jacket, Knights of Columbus coated, put it that way. And his wife was there with her. She had a nice sweater on. They looked like they would, were going to mass. Maybe not the prime time 10 o'clock on Sunday, but like the Saturday 4 o'clock where people are just get away with a little more on the Saturday mass. And I could tell this man, he was just so bummed at the game that he was watching. And his dear wife, I'm assuming all of this, by the way, they could have been siblings, and they maybe they didn't even know they were going to, maybe they didn't even expect to be going to a baseball game. I don't know, but I'm assuming all this. The man seemed so frustrated. He was like, oh, crap. And the wife, would rub his shoulder. It's like, it's okay. She was very comforting. It was very heartwarming. I felt bad sitting directly behind these 2, just cutting loose vicious boos. So I didn't boo in that instance, but I was on the front railing of the patio right next to Simpson as you were describing that cut that I played coming into the break. First, second inning, oh yeah, I booed, but I'm never gonna boo loudly behind someone's head. I think there are certain standards and certain, I don't know. There's a way to boo correctly. There's a way to do it without ruining anyone's time or being a total jag. Some text coming in 608-321-1670. On the Buster only stat that I shared earlier, and why don't I read it again for those who haven't listened? I've done a little carping about William Contreras today because like Yelich and like Hoskins and like Churio, offensively at the top of the lineup, those guys are expected to produce. None of them have produced, really. Contreras, one of them. But Contreras also, I think, has done a poor job framing pitches. He didn't control the base paths well yesterday. And I think he's like, well, we're already down 6 runs. What's the point? And I also think he's called pretty crummy game scripts. He keeps saying, fastball, give me a fastball. Buster only tweeted last night, the Brewers ranked dead last in average pitching 4-seam fastball velocity in 2025 by far. It's by like 5 miles per hour. D-backs, Royals, Yankees go 93.8, 93.8, 93.6 respectively. The Brewers are at 88.9. And this texter texts in and says, but now remember, that includes 2 innings of Jake Bauer's fastballs. That is true. So that affects the number. They'd still be in last by a large margin because they have 5 pitchers with an average 4-seam velocity of 91.5 or less. Like they don't have any gas. Of course, that doesn't stop William Contreras for asking for the fastballs. Maybe that's what Chris Hook wants. I don't think Chris Hook is a dope. Maybe Walker McKibben was the brains behind the whole thing and he left this offseason. So I don't know. Maybe Chris Hope, maybe he's a dope and it's just been concealed this whole time. But this was a thing with Contreras at the end of last year too. Stop asking for fastballs. I think the end of the game, that Twins game in the regular season went to extras. You're pitching against Carlos Santana. All he does is destroy fastballs. You're up in a 2-strike count and Contreras is like, hit me again. It's like that bastard. He played blackjack. He'd hit on a 20. I swear to God. It just drives me nuts because he's a tremendous player. And it's not that hard. It's such a small thing. It's such a simple game planning thing that's not hard to get right. I'm a dope and I understand it. It says, Grant, first time texter, long time listener. Now is a good time to take a deep breath and remind ourselves that we're not only here for wins and losses, but for a summer of passion and entertainment. That's from Kevin in Charlotte. Kevin, I appreciate the text. And I love that line of thinking. There has yet to be 1 ounce of entertainment for this team, and there hasn't been a lot of passion. The only passion yesterday was Ricky Weeks getting ejected. That's the only thing I remember from yesterday's game. It's like, oh, remember the home opener? We had Chuck Freeman on at Stenny's yesterday for the first hour and a half, 90 minutes or so of Bill's show. And Freems has covered every opening day going back to like the late 70s. Like he's been around, right? He remembers them all. And if someone asked Chuck Freeman in 10 years, hey, you remember the 2025 home opener? What is he supposed to say? What touch point do I have from last night's game that I'm supposed to tell my kids about, that I'm supposed to bring up if I'm still doing this job somehow years into the future? I remember opening day in 2025. Oh, yeah, crazy memory. Ricky Weeks got ejected. Who won? The Royals. What happened? I couldn't tell you. I don't know where the runs came from yesterday. I think Churio knocked in the Brewers' only run with him. He knocked in Terang, I think, with a double. That's about it. It's just a big blah fest. Not a lot of entertainment and passion. Coyote Mike says, Grant, I got to walk the dogs. There are 4 of them counting on me, plus I need to drop 10 pounds. Oh, take it easy on yourself, Mike. Ross, the sauce boss, says, don't forget to vote tomorrow, Grant. I voted at 7:15 this morning because I had to do a friggin' radio hit on Rock Morning, so I voted early. Robin Stoddard says, these 4 Brewer games were major letdowns, but baseball works in strange ways. But it was still more beautiful than anything the football or basketball season could possibly have to offer due to randomness. Go Brewers. Good point, Rob. I will read Cone Roller's text as a setup for our next segment. He says, Grant, thoughts on Gus Bus to Vermont? Also, Freetag leaving out Jack Janicki in his portal announcement. I'm amped up to talk about this. I didn't expect Freetag to be transferring. That one knocked me over with a feather. And I also want to talk about Gus Bus going to Vermont because I had this a year ago. I was first. Now, I was too early with my prediction of Gus Bus going to Vermont. That's the problem. He went to Vermont by way of Seton Hall. I want to talk about some of the Badgers transfer portal news because I have thoughts. And I have some information to share because I have sources and I asked around, baby. So we'll end the hour talking about some of the Badgers transfer portal news. And then in hour number 2, more Brewers, sprinkle in a little Packers as well. Last segment of hour number 1 next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Last segment of the hour. I want to get back to the Brewers after 5 o'clock. Continued reaction from the weekend. This is a team that's got to figure it out fast because it's a long season. But I don't know if you've ever heard this, and I had to remind Zach of this afternoon, our sports director, Zach Heilprin. He could not have rolled his eyes harder, but it's true. You can't win the division in April, but you sure can lose it. And the Brewers are well on their way to doing just that. In a couple minutes, I'm going to give you my reaction to the news of Daniel Freitag transferring out of Wisconsin. And also our old friend, Gus, not Gus Varland. I always get the names confused. Gus Bus has transferred again to Vermont. And I'm here to tell you that I called this a year ago. So I'm going to take my victory lap. But first, one call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Denny from Holman.
Denny from Holman. Good evening, Denny.
Hey, good evening. You are exactly right. Yesterday's Brewer game reminded me of when the Packers would come out flat. They expect to just come on the field and win the game. And
yes.
Then it was always kind of blamed on Matt LaFleur, which I don't necessarily think it was the coach's fault the way they played. But, I mean, something has got to change. If Adames was that big to this team, I mean, just like pack the stadium, and put on a bad performance, I mean, it's unreal.
It's one thing to lose, Denny. That's a good call. We're just on a tight schedule. It's one thing to lose. I can handle a loss. It's 162 games. Even when I attend games, I've seen losses before. It's fine. But you just didn't look interested in playing baseball. And that's a slap in the face to your fans who, again, on the home opener, you're honoring Euchre. The place is full. Baseball's back in Milwaukee. And you had just gotten embarrassed the last 2 days at Yankee Stadium. So if there was ever a time to get buttoned up and to get hyped up to play and compete, it's yesterday. And they looked disinterested. Some Badgers basketball transfer news. Let's start with Daniel Freitag, former 4-star from the Twin City, Bloomington, maybe? I can't remember which suburb. Announced that he's transferring yesterday, which knocked me over with a feather, something I did not see coming. And when it happened, I thought, based on his comments and based on what I've gathered from him throughout the year, he didn't play nearly as much as a freshman as I think maybe he thought he would, or Badgers fans, like, we thought he'd play a role. He barely even played. Like 10 seconds here, 15 seconds here. That's about it. So it didn't go the way that he wanted. But based on the things that he said, and just gut feeling, like, it didn't seem like he was going to leave, especially because this team had so many seniors. Now there's going to be opportunities, so Freitag will slide in. And he announced that he's transferring yesterday, and my first thought was, he must be far away. Otherwise, this doesn't make any sense. We must assume too strongly. We must have overestimated how ready he is to perform. And I asked around today and talked to some people, one of whom was Zach Heilprin, who's on the Badgers beat, knows a ton. And basically what happened was, Guard in the program, they sat down with all the players. They talk about the role in the offseason and going into next year. And it sounds like UW just doesn't think he's ready to assume a large role. And they kind of told him, like, look, you're more than welcome to stay. But at this rate, unless you get a lot better, your role's not really going to change. And I don't think Freitag liked that. And if he wants to play, he shouldn't like that. Okay? So my first instinct and my first guess that this thing was right. He'll probably transfer down and play at a lower level. And then maybe if he succeeds, he'll transfer back up. Not to Wisconsin. But I don't put this on UW at all. They have a certain standard. They were good. They're good. So they're going to continue to look for players who can actually play at a high level and help them win Big Ten games. Gus Yalden, it has been announced. Remember Gus Bus a year ago? Got caught, drinking and smoking pot in his dorm room, among other things. Transfers at the end of the year, ends up at Seton Hall. Now, a year ago, when he announced that he was transferring out of Wisconsin, I, quite snarky, talked about this on the air. And part of it is a defense mechanism for UW, because anytime a player wants to leave, everyone's like, oh, nice one, Guard. Really, really good job losing another good talent. It's like, okay, well, wait a minute. If this knucklehead couldn't keep it together on Regent Street and got picked up for underage drinking, and if he was blowing pot in his dorm room, that's Greg Gard's fault? That this guy doesn't have his head screwed on straight? And look, I drink your drinks if it doesn't affect your playing or your schooling. That's what college is for. Smoke your pot smoke. Go outside. Don't do it in your dorm room, you dumbass. It's like the one place you can't do it in Madison. You could probably smoke a joint in front of the police station, in the vestibule of the police station, under the awning of the police station. They'd be like, hey, buddy, can you just go over there a little bit? I mean, come on. You'd be like, all right, thank you, officer. Like, you smoke pot anywhere in Madison. The one place you can't do it is your dorm room, idiot. So I tweeted a year ago, actually, March 28th, 2024, when Gus Yalden entered the transfer portal, I just tweeted a screenshot of a Google search. Schools that let you smoke weed in dorm rooms. And Google gave me a list of the most marijuana-friendly colleges, and wouldn't you know it, number one on this list, the University of Vermont, which is where we learned today that Gus Yalden will be attending in 2025, 2026. You are a catamount. Best of luck to Gus Yalden, because he could be one of those players, like, if he can hoop, this type of player that makes college football or college basketball great. Like this chunky, clumsy-looking white kid who's got some real skill and sauce. Like, that's the type of player we love in college basketball. Stop smoking pot in your dorm room. It's the biggest red flag ever. Not smoking pot. I don't care if you smoke pot. No one should care if you smoke pot. As long as you're like a functioning human, don't do it in your dorm room. That's the one place literally the one place in Dane County you cannot smoke pot. You could probably do it in the lobby of the police station. They might ask you politely to go outside. You can't do it in your dorm room. Maybe you can at Vermont, though. Good luck to the Catamounts. People like the Catamounts in March Madness. Hour 2 coming up.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers' proposal to get the tush-push banned has been tabled at the NFL's owners' meetings. It means there was no vote on the matter, and there will be more discussion down the road. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst spoke about it yesterday, saying it was a player safety concern. Gutekunst also touched on a number of other topics, including the fact the team did not get a pass rusher in free agency like so many expected them to, but he also doesn't think that means they have to reach in the draft for one.
I think we can do everything we need to do through the players we have on our roster right now. because I think there's a significant amount of improvement for those guys, not only in year 2 of a scheme, but just I think individually as well. So we've invested in that quite a bit already, and I'm excited to see the growth that those guys will have. If the draft happens to bring us, some more ammunition in that category, great. But I don't think it's something that's necessarily we have to go chase.
The draft in Green Bay, fast approaching. Things get underway 3 weeks from Thursday. Turning to Wisconsin, they were back in the field for practice this morning as spring ball continues. There's no battle at quarterback where transfer Billy Edwards has taken over with the number 1 offense. Coach Luke Fickell said Edwards has fit in quite well, building good rapport with his new receivers. Wisconsin going to hold their spring game coming up April 19th.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Farmers deal with a lot, including long days, stress, and fatigue. This is your reminder to take breaks, stretch, have a snack, and hydrate your body. Avoid farm accidents by keeping yourself healthy. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how Rural Mutual supports Wisconsin farmers and prioritize safety on the farm.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers will be back in action tonight against the Royals as they look for their first win of the season. Milwaukee 0-4 for the first time since 2015. First pitch is at 6:40. And the Bucks going to take on the Suns at Fiserv Forum as they look to snap a 4-game losing streak. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
I mean, worry's a waste of time. We just got to get busy. We got great people in that room, and I believe in that room. I believe in this team. You guys can laugh at me if you want, but I believe in this team. A lot of these guys are still very, very young.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, the Brewers are 0-4, so we've been discussing and taking some impassioned phone calls that I've enjoyed. So keep them coming if you have something to say. 608-321-1670. I will reset the show by giving you my original take from 4 o'clock, and then a couple of other items that could or couldn't be on the menu for the rest of the show. I have a Packers thought that I could give you, a draft thought. We could react to a comment from Mark Attanasio yesterday that I think a lot of people were rolling their eyes at. And like many Mark Attanasio comments, it's like, okay, I understand why that sounds dumb, but let me try to assign some context and defend Mark. I'm more likely than most to defend Mark, I think. And also, I'm fascinated by the story of Daniel Freitag transferring. We all assumed, hey, now that all these seniors have graduated, whether it be Kamari McGee, and I know, Kamari McGee's a bench player, but that's a point guard. That's a guard. Freitag could slide in there. Carter Gilmore, Stephen Crowell, Max Klesmith, these are all guys who are out. There's a lot of minutes up for grabs. Freitag slides right in. Seems to love the program. I just don't know that he was nearly close enough, and I don't think he was nearly good enough. He was not providing what Wisconsin was going to need, so he leaves. I think that's an interesting story. Gussie Alden ends up at Vermont. And that's funny and interesting to me only because a year ago I suggested that maybe he should go to Vermont because he obviously likes smoking pot. He loves it enough to do it in his dorm room, which is the one place at college, especially in Dane County, that you actually can't. That's the one place that you can't. And yet he did. And also getting an underage, like, buddy, there's thousands of kids around. Do you know how badly you have to act out to get an underage? Now, you can get unlucky, right? I have friends from college who got underage tickets who are very responsible, very respectful. Sometimes there's a group of kids that are drinking and the police officer's like, hey, the guy walking in the back, come here. And that sucks. That's your luck. So by the way, parents, if your kid gets an underage, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a total S-bag. It could mean that. But I have lots of friends, great friends, who got underages, and it's just like because you were trailing behind the group or you had, stopped to tie your shoe, you get an underage. Not really the case with Gus Bus. So he ends up at Vermont today, which was an interesting story that I kind of forgot about. Interested to see once again. So all of that is on the table. The phone lines are loaded, I assume, to talk about the Brewers. So let's get right back into it. Why waste any time? 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, my most memorable moment from yesterday was when the bald eagle wouldn't even fly around the stadium. I don't know if it was supposed to during the national anthem or what, but that was a huge disappointment. But it's the one thing I will remember about yesterday's game.
So this is back in Cross Plains during the national anthem yesterday. The big flag on the field, and there was a falconer or somebody around home plate with a bald eagle, and they were holding it, which is very American. The funny thing was, is they kept putting it on the Jumbotron during the national anthem, which was kind of funny. I don't think it took away from the anthem. I don't think it was disrespectful, but like, and here's this bald eagle who is just like, it's a bird. It's looking around like, it's like we were putting, the star player on the screen and it was a freaking bird. It was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I had an enjoyable time other than that, really, though. And what I'll just remember most is just sitting in that Casamigos patio. That's a really nice thing. You were saying it gets really hot, but in the summer months. But yesterday was a perfect day with the roof closed, and unfortunately the Brewers just couldn't muster any more runs. But I'm going out on a big limb tonight, Grant. They're going to get their first win tonight. You can book it.
Well, at some point they have to. At some point, I appreciate the call, Matt from Cross Plains, one of our fine WOZN listeners who was on the Casamigos patio with us yesterday. It was very fun. I guess that was one memorable thing. I forgot about the Eagle. The game was just so vanilla yesterday. And to abbreviate my opening take from back at 4:00, I realize you're injured, realize you can't win every game, but this has been kind of embarrassing. And yesterday was the cherry on top of the sundae. You get blown out in New York, back-to-back games, and then you do it again at home. And the day they're honoring Euchre, the day it's jam-packed of your fans, it lacks a little heart, lacks a little attitude, lacks a little pride, competitive spirit, respect for your fans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's Christian Yelich after the game. He agrees with me, and then we'll get back to your phone calls.
Yeah, it's just 4 games, but we got to do better. It's unacceptable to do that, over the course of 4 games. There's different kinds of losses, but we have to be better than that. And we will be. There's a lot of season left, obviously, but we can get things turned around and start to play better in really all facets of the game. It goes that way sometimes, and I know we didn't do that last year, but every year's another year, and we got a new team and a group. We just need to do better.
It's unacceptable. Can't have it. Yeah, I agree. You can lose games. You can't give up double digits and be completely inept on offense 3 days in a row. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on I-90.
Eric, good evening.
Good evening. How are you today?
I'm not too bad. Nice 2-day work week for me because I was off yesterday. Although I hope that some of you appreciated the gesture of a pre-recorded show. I work tonight, work tomorrow, and then I'm off to Iceland on Thursday. So my vibes are high despite this Brewers team absolutely sucking right now.
That's pretty awesome. I was listening to your show last night, and I was like, wow, he's got to do a full 2 hours just talking, just random stuff, right?
I only did 1 hour.
You didn't do it, did you, Grant?
No, I did what? Here's the thing. I was talking about this with Ebo yesterday. Would you like 2 crappy hours, or would you like 1 excellent hour? I'll give you 1 excellent hour, and then it will replay in hour number 2. Sorry you don't get 2. You get 1 really solid hour with a good guest. Kurt was great, too.
I think so, too. I think it's
a good system.
It's a long-term listener that would even know, right?
Yeah.
Because most people are only listening for an hour.
Yes.
At the most.
Or, 15 minutes on their drive home. Exactly. And look, if you listen to the full hour and then you're upset that you don't get a good second, I'm genuinely sorry that I could only provide the 60 minutes on that given day.
I didn't. Nobody said they were pissed off. All right.
Okay.
I just wanted. All right. Now, did you know that the Zone was not going to be broadcasting Brewer games? Did you know that up until the day of?
Yeah. I was the last to know, as is with most things in this studio and in this building, which is fine. But no, I knew before the first day. So this season, even when the Brewers cover up the show, I'll still be going because our flagship in Madison, which is how it should be. If there's one station that still has it, it should be the flagship. So I will the full 2 hours. The Brewers ain't stopping me this year, Eric.
I actually like listening to the Brewer game I know you can't call the game, but you kind of called it.
On Thursday? You mean last Thursday? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Melting down.
So don't forget tonight to plug in your devices, your cell phones and stuff, because they're going to clean out the fiber optic line. And, you're going to see your device get a little brighter at around 8 o'clock.
Is that right, huh?
Yep.
So,
they clean out the excess light that's left in the tubes.
Is that okay? What time is this?
8 o'clock.
Okay. So I'll make sure. Should I have my phone plugged in or should I avoid plugging it in at that time?
No, you should plug in your phone.
Okay.
Now, if you fall for this again,
you pulled this on Ebo this morning. He brought it up, but you got me hook, line, and sinker last year. But also, April Fool's Day, we're not children. As a society, are we ever going to get over this crap?
we're not, because I am a child. I am a child. You know, here's another thing, too. These torpedo bats look like lava lamp bats.
They do look like lava lamps. They also look like a bottle of Miller High Life. That's all I can see.
That's really true. They should call them highlight bats. And there's no reason, if you haven't worked with this bat beforehand, you don't want to just go grab this bat and think you're going to be better.
Correct.
Right? You got to work with the bat a little bit.
You got to work with the bat. And I talked about this with Brian and Gene on Rock Mornings this morning, as I do every Tuesday. All right, it's the second time I brought that up. Thanks for the call, Eric. Baseball players are such a creature of habit, and they're superstitious to boot. So if a 10-year Major League Baseball player or player who's been playing baseball his whole life, all of a sudden it's like, you want me to use a completely different bat? I don't think that every player in Major League Baseball is all of a sudden going to be using one of these. Because, like, why would Aaron Judge change bats? Are you kidding me? Why would they do that? But I think some players will, and it'll be interesting to follow for sure. It's amazing to me that it took 150, 130 years for someone to be like, what if we put a little more wood where the ball hits the bat? It is kind of funny. All right, one more call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, it's Darnell.
Hey, Darnell. What's up?
Hey, I'm actually in a really good mood right now. Not worried about the Brewers or anything. I'm just so incredibly stoked to never have to listen to a political ad about Brad Schimmel or Susan Crawford ever again.
Is it true that over $100 million were spent on advertising in Wisconsin for the Supreme Court? Did I see that somewhere the other day, or did I dream that?
If that's the case, then our society is just another idea or another proof or more evidence that we're cooked. Because like that's ridiculous. Like, and they're not even good ads either. You know what I mean? Like,
so stupid. Here's what I don't get. Okay, and this is not political, so bear with me. I don't get how both sides, and the advertisements vary, but I don't see how both sides can come at the other side where it's like, this one let this guy out early, and then the other side's like, that one let this guy out early. Like, everyone's letting everyone out early. It sounds like they both suck. And also, it's a tricky spot to be because, like, I also believe that, like, if you commit a crime, you should serve a sentence, but you shouldn't rot in jail for 80. You know what I mean? Like, we can't put everyone in prison for life. It's a very tricky thing. So I think this race, more than most, it's very difficult to do political ads because both candidates have let people out early and it's aged poorly. But also sometimes you got to let some people out of jail. And if they commit crimes, it's like, okay, but they served their original sentence. Like, what do you want the judge to do? It's a very tricky spot, and it's a weird political race. I feel like I'm not qualified to vote for a judge. I don't know anything about being a judge. I don't know anything about the law. It's very bizarre, all of it. I'm happy that it's almost over. Whoever wins, I almost don't care at this point.
I think that's what a lot of Wisconsinites are saying right now. They're just like, I just want this to be done. That way I can watch my Taco Bell and my Burger King commercials in peace in between my college basketball or my Brewers or whatever it ends up being. Yeah. Right. I'm just so excited to watch sports and not have to see who's letting the child rapists out anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need to see that anymore. And hope springs eternal. We're in April now. We don't have to listen to that crap. And we get to watch a really exciting Final Four here.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah.
So.
The college, we haven't mentioned college basketball. I think the college basketball has been excellent. If you like the best players, the best coaches, the best teams. I have yet to fully believe that this is the new norm in college basketball. And here's what's going to happen, Darnell. And I said this to Bill and Chuck Freeman, who was on the show yesterday when we were at Stenny's before the Brewer game. I said, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get to next March, and everyone's going to go to fill out their bracket, and everyone's going to say, look, the mid-major is dead, right? The transfer portal, NIL killed the mid-major. We're going all chalk. And next year is going to be the least chalky March Madness we've ever had. At least I hope that can still happen. I hope that's what happens, because if March Madness really is just going to be chalk the rest of the time, we'll get to watch the best players and the best teams, but I will miss the madness a little bit.
But that's the thing. It's entertainment. It's sports, but it's also entertainment, which is exactly why you see stuff like the Brewers went an entire year without losing 4 straight, and then lose 4 straight to start the next year. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what sports does. It's cyclical. Yeah. It follows these really weird patterns, but also no patterns at all at the same time. It's very, very fascinating to witness. So yeah, it's all great. I mean, we get to watch the 4 best Ken Palm teams. You know what I mean? Like the top teams all year. They made it to the end, as they should. There aren't any Cinderella stories, and that sucks or whatever. But hey, I'm okay with it. Like we get to watch real basketball, and like really watch the best of the best, which is something you don't really get to see that often. You don't even see that in the college football playoff anymore. So
yeah, definitely not in this sport. And I think that's the number one complaint about like March Madness. If you're a college football or college basketball rather diehard, it's like this tournament isn't the best way to crown a champion. You know what I mean? Like, if you really wanted to decide the best team in college basketball, there's no chance you do it like this. But this year, it's played out like we're watching the best teams pretty much without fail advance. I hope it's not like this every year for the rest of time. But I'm also not going to sit here today and be like, the tournament's dead. It's ruined. Especially because of NIL and the transfer portal. It's like, oh, my wife divorced me. Why? The NIL and the transfer portal. Like, we just use that as an excuse for everything. My wife didn't. I'm not married. I'm just hypothetical. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Tony from Texas.
Hey, Tony.
You're talking about guys that should have gotten released from prison. And
yes.
A guy that should have gotten released from prison was Johnny Sack from The Sopranos. Very anticlimactic death, don't you think?
I'm rewatching. It's funny. I just watched an episode of The Sopranos last night. I'm rewatching season 1. God, Livia was funny. She was so funny. And the first time I watched the show, I'm like, oh, this old woman's miserable. Like, yeah, she is. But I'm opening myself up to appreciating the humor of the show. I'm really enjoying season 1 right now.
It's great, man. It's great. You know, it's not great. Brewer baseball. Hey, I wish they could just turn the clock back a little bit, a week or so. Just bad vibes. But, you know, baseball, like Darnell said, yin and yang. It's a weird sport, so hopefully they can bounce out of that and get going. But you know, a team that's not going to get out of it is the Bucks.
They're done.
Grant, I was called GM of the year so far for AAU basketball, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John Horace, if you ever, if you can't handle the duties, it might be time for you to step down.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can. And I think his ownership had neutered him at certain, junctures. It's like when he wants to hire a coach, I think ownership has been like, no, here's what we're going to do. So I think the one avenue where John Horst may have been able to do a good job hiring a coach, he was overruled by others, which is a bummer for him. But also draft anybody who is capable of playing basketball, please.
Coaching in the NBA, probably the least important thing of the team. But I will say this, the guy that I wanted, and I think you did too a couple years ago, was Kenny Atkinson.
Mm-hmm.
And our star player said, I don't like him. He wasn't a player. And look at him with Cleveland right now. So, the Damian Lillard thing is not going to work out. I don't want to trade Giannis, but let's say GM Grant's in charge of the Bucks right now. Ride it out with Giannis, try to build around him still, or trade him and get assets. And I'll leave you at that. Hey, before I leave though, I got Marcus Smart's team. Who likes Marcus Smart? Nobody. We play him in AAU. We're going to knock him off, Grant.
Can you update us, please, as to how that goes? When's the game?
It's going to be on Saturday.
Okay.
It's their best team. They have a bunch of 4 or 5 star recruits. But Tony from Texas is going to come with a game plan. Get ready. I wish I could tweet it out.
Your Twitter's been suspended for whatever reason. Are you a schematic coach? Are you more of a rah-rah guy? Describe your coaching style.
No. I'm X's and O's and keep that team like I'm like a Mike Holmgren type.
Okay.
Mike Holmgren, very stern, but X's and O's too. And then there's a human side to me too.
Yeah, well, of course. And that much is clear. Tony, I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend in that matchup. Who did you say? Marcus Smart's team? Marcus Smart was just traded, wasn't he? Where even is Marcus Smart now? Can't remember. Anyways, a little bit of variety, some Supreme Court election coverage. By the way, just a take on voting. And I sent a Snapchat to my family this morning just because, it's a good reason to, I got 2 siblings and mom and dad. It's like, I voted, and my sister did the same, and my parents did the same. We need to make voting less, voting should be like an oil change. That's what voting should be like. We all got to do it, schedule it, take care of it. It's not a big deal. Like, we don't need to set up DJs in front of the polling place, and we don't need people with just go do it and then move on with your life. If that's how we handled it, it would be a lot better. Go cast your vote. I don't need to know who for. I would prefer not to know. That right is actually protected in our Constitution. Right to a secret ballot box. Let's exercise it. Go vote. Move on with your day. That's how voting should be. It should be like an oil change. You're in and out of Valvoline quickly, or your accredited dealership. However you service your vehicle. Let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit more about the Brewers. Some comments from yesterday after the game from Pat Murphy and others. We'll do that next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I mean, worry's a waste of time. We just got to get busy. We got great people in that room, and I believe in that room. I believe in this team. You guys can laugh at me if you want, but I believe in this team. And I believe that they'll learn from this. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to be in a different spot now where you're not sweeping your first series. And it's a lot of these guys are still very, very young in the game.
It's Pat Murphy after yesterday's game. The lineup is out for tonight's game. Give it to you here in a sec. A detail from last segment left open-ended. Marcus Smart is a Washington Wizard. I'm glad now we can continue the show. Thank you, Tyler in Massachusetts on the live stream, sharing that tonight. Eric Haas catching, not William. Well, William Contreras is DHing, but not catching, which I am thrilled about because Haas calls games much better. Something that I've been complaining about throughout the last couple of days. Contreras loves to, throw me a fastball, throw me a fastball, throw me a fastball, throw me a fastball. Which would be one thing if he was calling pitches for throwers who could throw fastballs. He's calling pitches for the hell's the guy's name who started yesterday? Something Elvin Rodriguez, not to be confused with Carlos Rodriguez, who we're probably going to be so unlucky to see before too long starting a game. None of these guys can throw fast. Stop calling fastballs or stop calling so many. So Terang leading off at second. I like that. Churio, 2. Right field. Yelich, 3 left field. Contreras DHing. Frelick in center field. Hoskins at first. Oliver Dunn, Joey Ortiz. Chad Patrick starting tonight's game. I swear to God, if they're behind a couple runs in the first inning, I'm going to go buy a draft guide. And this is going to become a full-time draft show for the next couple of weeks. So if you have any Brewers thoughts, I'm going to get to the Packers and another Badgers thought after the bottom of the hour. I feel like we probably said just about everything that needs to be said about the Brewers. Just about. But Christian Yelich, I mean, I can't agree more with what he said. In fact, this is my opening take. This would have been my take had I been on the air last night. And I'm glad that Yelich also said this because it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable in being critical of this team in the way they showed yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 4 games, but we got to do better. It's unacceptable to do that, over the course of 4 games. There's different kinds of losses, but, we have to be better than that. And we will be. There's a lot of season left, obviously, but, we got to get things turned around and start to play better and really all facets of the game. And, it goes that way sometimes. And I know we didn't do that last year, but every year's a new year and we got a new team, a new group, and we just need to do better.
Yelich has been a part of the problem. The top of the Brewers lineup. So let's say Churio, Yelich, Contreras, and you can include Hoskins. I think you should probably include Hoskins. He's a veteran. Murphy says, a lot of these guys are young in the game. Were those his words?
A lot of these guys are still very, very young.
Yeah, Hoskins isn't. So you kind of hope to lean on him for some sort of consistency, although that's not really his game. He's, fly ball strikeout guy, not that dissimilar from Willie Adames, just not as good, which is why he was a, bottom of the lineup guy in Philly. Mike Heller tweeted this yesterday. Again, Mike does good work, but if this is wrong, take it up with Mike. So I'm taking this from his tweet. Top 4 hitters in the Brewers lineup: Churio, Yelich, Contreras, and Hoskins combined to go 5 for 55 with 2 doubles, 0 home runs, 3 RBIs, and 20 strikeouts. If that's the version of Yelich, Contreras, Churio, Hoskins that the Brewers get this year, then they might lose 100 games, especially if their pitching can't get healthy. I don't think that's the version that they're going to get all season long. One of these guys has to start doing something, preferably before the team is behind by 4 or 5 runs, preferably. I mean, beggars can't be choosers. You get a rally started in the 7th, it's better than no rally at all, which is basically what we got yesterday. Heller also wrote in this tweet, tough start, 4 games equals 2.4% of the season. Here's what I don't want. I have no interest in, and I got this on Twitter, by the way, on Sunday, because Sunday morning I tweeted, this might be the most unlikable Brewers team I've ever watched. They give me no joy. They give me no entertainment, no passion, to use Mark Atanasio's words. And I had people in my mentions. And I guess let me scroll back. I'll try to find one example. But I had people I mentioned saying, if this was a Packers season, we'd be only in the first quarter of the first game. I don't compare. Don't compare. Well, if this was football, we'd only be 8 minutes into the first quarter. God, I just hate it. So I tweeted on Sunday, it's taken 2.1 games of baseball to realize this is the least likable Brewers team I've ever watched. Damian replies, cool, then don't watch. Good advice. Thank you. Peter says, it's game 3. You are a joke. A couple of exclamation points. Ebo, Elvin Rodriguez will win you over tomorrow. Close. It's funny. Ebo's actually here. Maybe he'll come on and give his thoughts for 2 minutes. I don't want to put him to work, but I do like having Ebo on. Mushu says, you mean to tell me you don't like watching guys like Oliver Dunn and Isaac Collins? I actually kind of enjoy Oliver Dunn because he's good for Twitter content. Tony says, first series and you're out on the Brewers. Hell of a fan. Huh? By the way, this was before the Brewers got rocked by 10 and then by 10 again yesterday. Complaints about Mark Attanasio, the like. When we come back, I actually have a Mark Attanasio cut that I want to play for you. He did a media avail yesterday, and I understand yesterday was about Euchre. I understand. I do. I was, I guess, a little disappointed or frustrated. I don't know the word. I would have liked some more questions and answers to Mark Attanasio about the roster, the offseason process, current state of the team. Because I know it's very sad that Euchre isn't here anymore. it's a bummer. And the tribute yesterday was great. You're not going to ignore that. But we kind of already asked and answered all of the Euchre questions. You know what I mean? Like when it happened, was that in February or late January? I can't remember. Mark did a Mediaville, talked about it. And then at spring training, all of the announcers did their thing. Like, I'm not saying that I want to forget Bob Uecker. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be recognized or anything like that. But a lot of these questions have been asked and answered so far. So I would have liked some more questions and answers about the payroll. There's one comment in particular that got people stirred up yesterday. So we'll talk about that. Also, a Badgers thing that I got to pass along, and some Packers news because the owners' meetings are going on right now. There was a verdict on the tush push. The verdict is no verdict at this moment in time. And some other Packers news. Matt LaFleur talking today, a couple of interesting comments, one specifically about the offensive line. So we'll get to that as well next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
The Wisco Sports Show, beginning to approach the finish line. Not done, but I'm just saying beginning to approach the finish line. Send me your text if you have Brewers thoughts. You can comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. The Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills. 608-321-1670. Ebo is here. Ebo, sometimes because you are in a position of management, you're responsible for a great many things on this station, making sure the lights stay on and the programming, whether it be our live sports or our many shows, you keep everything running. You keep everything smooth.
Scary
right?
as that idea and thought is, yes. By the way, shout out to ZZ Top, Grant Bills on the music. The music's hitting hard tonight, baby.
Great song.
Yeah.
So sorry to make you come on air with me. Although if you really wanted to avoid coming on air, you shouldn't have sat on the other side of that window where I could see you.
Well, I didn't want to impose. I wanted to. There's something happening after the Wisco Sports Show. I wish the show could go on even longer, but there's other contractual obligations that I'll have to take care of.
Being done at 6.
So I have to click a couple of links and push a couple of buttons, and I just wanted to make sure that it went smoothly. So thank you for allowing me to occupy your space while you're doing your show. So I appreciate that.
Our space. So I could ask you about the Brewers, but we've talked about the Brewers today. I've been talking a little bit about Daniel Freitag, and he's transferring. So we talked about this morning, and I talked a little bit about with Zach, like help me kind of understand what's going on. He's not close. Like he's not ready. He's not ready to play heavy Big Ten minutes. So Ben Wergel, not to pump a competitor of ours, but tweeted this. I don't know where
You're just talking Heller last segment.
I know, but that was cover. It's like, well, if this is wrong.
A rising tide raises all ships.
Exactly. It is a good stat. What am I supposed to do? Just say that I got it. So
yes,
Wergel is saying that the schools that have reached out to Daniel Freitag, don't know where he got this information, but I got it from somewhere good. Florida Atlantic, Buffalo, Valpo, Western Kentucky, George Mason, Iowa, interesting, Drake, Loyola, Chicago, Rhode Island, Marshall, San Diego, Long Beach, Nebraska, Boston College, South Dakota State, Montana, San Diego State. That would kind of fit our assumptions of how the Freitag thing went down, right?
Yes. And remember when he was all hopped up on goofballs coming out like anesthesia, and he came out and he's like, I love Greg Gard.
I do remember that, yeah.
What happened to that?
Well,
where'd that go?
I don't think that went anywhere. I don't think he's good enough at basketball.
You bring up a good point because
crack the rotation.
I'll never forget when a Dave from Monona called in one time, was blown away about a certain, because Dave's blind. Blown away an attribute about Daniel Freitag. I won't go too much into, but Dave was like, wow, I can't believe anyways. Grant, I think you know what I'm referring to.
Probably.
It's an extreme inside joke.
I can guess.
I'll tell you off air. But Daniel Freitag, Zach Halpern, and I think Jesse Temple too, from The Athletic, were telling, I'm like, where's Freitag? Like, I thought he was going to be the savior for this team. This is
we all thought he'd play a bunch.
The season started, and Zach's like, oof, he don't have it in practice. Like, it's just, the turnovers are huge, like the constant. He's not acclimating as fast as you would hope he would. Maybe he's still on anesthesia, but
possible.
But this is what transfer portal, NIL, it never really works out to move up.
Correct.
Unless you're like an AJ Storr who moved up but still went down in the bench. Like, the thing of that one is his bank went up, but his playing time decreased. If you're a player out there, I looked up the stat the other day. It was over half. I forget the exact percentage, like 53 or 55, did not find a new home. Now, Freitag, he's raw. You know, there's a lot of
still very young.
Yeah, there's some good names on there. There's some.
He was a 4-star, right?
There's some tournament team
there's
names
two
on there.
Big Ten. Well, Iowa and Nebraska weren't tournament schools. There were non-power fives who were tournament schools.
Correct.
No power fives.
Correct. If you go and look at the numbers and the stats of all these players, why not stick around? Why not stay? Why not? Wisconsin used to do this with Bo Ryan and, well, as Greg Gard. I love Greg Gard, by the way, that a guy would come, he'd cut his teeth, he'd pay his dues, and freshman year, like, oh, whatever. Sophomore year, be like, Frank Kaminsky, for example. I remember my dad being like, look at this nerd with these rec specs. When is he ever going to play? Look at this nerd.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, this is straight from the nerdery factory. And what happened? He paid his dues. He bided his time. Junior year, senior year, Frank Kaminsky, All-American, Player of the Year, championship game, 2 Final Fours. Why? Because they stuck around and believed in something and didn't go try to chase something that doesn't exist and is not there.
So
stick around is what I'm saying. Stick around.
I believe that more for a player like Cameron Hunter than I do for Daniel Freitag. I just don't think he's close. So expecting him to sit for multiple years. See, that's the thing.
But yeah, he could be a closer sophomore year than junior. All of a sudden, like, oh,
could be.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Go back and look at Frank Kaminsky. If you were to ask anyone, ask your dad. Like, hey, what'd you think of Frank the Tank as freshman and sophomore year? But you'd say, like my dad would say, this nerd's never going to see the court.
Comic relief that is on the end of the bench during the games. You know what I mean? Or a human victory cigar. As a guard. The modern sensibility of sticking around, Freitag staying as a freshman to earn playing time as a sophomore, I think that's about as much as you can ask of kids these days. Yeah. And I think he would have stayed if he would have had a role or if he would have been better.
Yeah. And also, if you have an opportunity to make money in the transfer portal or NIL, I would say go do it because you're not going to, it's less than 1% go to the NBA.
Yep.
You can go overseas and make money. Sure. Like a lot of Badgers do. Make your money while you can right now. That's like, I don't blame AJ Storr for doing what he did. Go make your money.
Absolutely. So I actually didn't really want to talk that long about Freitag.
Sorry.
No. It's as much my fault. Like, really what I'd ask you about is Gus Bus because he hit the transfer portal again.
I was so excited for Gus Bus. I was watching Gus Bus highlight on YouTube, like mixtapes.
Gus Yalden.
Yeah. When he was coming in before he hit the marijuana, the devil's lettuce, and decided to go have a couple of libations. Did he get arrested like twice in the span of 24 hours? Something like that?
Arrested or whatever.
2 weekends or something?
My point always about him was you can smoke pot just about anywhere in Dane County. And I posited about 40 minutes ago, you could smoke in the awning of the police station if it was raining. And they might ask you, can you, not by the door, but you are not going to get in trouble for smoking pot anywhere in Dane County except your dorm room. Inside your dorm room. That is the one place you can't do it. And that fat ass had to do it.
If you do we called them a Hoover. You get a toilet paper roll and you get a dryer sheet with the rubber band.
A sploof.
And you at least be smart enough. We called them a Hoover. To get a Hoover. What'd you call it? A sploof?
A sploof,
yeah. A sploof. Listen, I had a friend, his name was Tho Borson. He walked down State Street smoking a joint one time, and people were giving him high fives.
Yep.
You literally can do it wherever you want.
Yep.
Except the RA in the dorm's like, hey, listen.
And the RA doesn't want to get you in trouble.
Listen.
They're like,
I got to turn you in.
I have to.
And he didn't even make a Hoover.
Yeah,
Come on.
Exactly. Like, or burn some popcorn.
Yeah.
Another tried and true strategy.
Or go outside.
So the reason I bring this up is because a year ago, Friday or Thursday, a year ago on the 28th, so a year ago on Friday, he hit the transfer portal. And I tweeted a screenshot of a Google search. You might have seen this. Of the most marijuana-friendly colleges in the United States. Vermont, Pitzer College, Rhode Island, Wesleyan, Skidmore, which is a funny name, Reed College in Portland. So he spends last year at Seton Hall. Hits the portal again. And where does old Gus Bus wind up?
Tell me.
Vermont. He's going to be a catamount.
That's amazing.
I was just a year early on this.
You are you're like Miss Cleo, dude. You saw into the future. You're Grant Adamus.
The funny thing is,
and now he needs an NIL deal of a weed strain.
Gus
or a head shop.
Is if he's good. Like, imagine if Vermont makes the Sweet 16 in the tournament. That dude will be a star. Look at him. He looks like the exact type of guy that we go nuts for during March Madness.
Yeah, but then like Afro Man, he'd be like, I was going to go to the NCAA tournament, but then I got high.
In my dorm room.
Oh.
Maybe he just needs to age out of, he needs to become an upperclassman so he can live off campus. That's what he's missing.
Listen, here's what he's got to do. As you get older, you realize you're taking gummies. At least what are we doing here, Gus Bus? Kids, they smoke. You can smell it. When you get a little older, go into your work environment, go to your water cooler and ask Susan or Jeff, be like, what'd you do this weekend? Like, I took a 5 milligram gummy. I was naughty.
Yeah.
It's like, just do the gummies.
Everyone does it.
Yeah.
And this is why I can't get over the weed in the dorm room thing. It shows
had a CBD in it too.
This is so cowherd. It shows me a lack of judgment. You know what I mean? It just shows, like, if you are dumb enough to smoke pot in your dorm room, Like I
Well, he's a kid, but it's like
it's true.
Someone had like people that taught me and maybe taught you, Grant. Make a Hoover or what'd you call it?
A sploof.
Sploof.
I had a bandmate in high school who was a big doobie pothead stoner. And he's always doing it. I never did. I'll be honest. I never in high school. But he always had one. And I was like, your mom's gonna come downstairs. And I was scared crapless of his parents. They were loud. There was very my household. I call my father sir. That's how we.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't.
The Bills family is very respectable.
We are a respectable family. Is it too early to jump our pants about the Brewers?
No.
Okay.
We have eyes. We have senses.
They're connected to our brains.
Our senses were heightened at American Family Field. I'll say everything about the game yesterday, because Grant and myself, we went, and a bunch of listeners. It was a really good time. Start out to WKTY. I met a lot of cool listeners from lacrosse.
It's a fun bunch. There were a lot of them. They brought 3 buses, I think.
It was a crisp air, but it was like fresh. It was new. There's a vibe out there.
New life.
The people at the security gate, they were jovial. They were friendly. They're smiling.
Oh, the staff at American Family Field.
They're like, we don't want to have to confiscate what it is that you have. But we have to, but we don't want to.
One of the people in our group had a modern rape whistle.
Yeah, it was a whistle.
Yeah.
For the ladies.
Yep.
And this guy's like, she's like, what if I need this at night? He's like, I don't want to have to do this.
Yeah. He was very nice about
but it's a noisemaker.
I don't make the prices type of situation.
Yeah. And but he was like, you guys have a great time. So then the ticket people were like smiling, how can I help you? How can this, that? I get to the bar, the Casamigos patio, they're beaming ear to ear. Would you like a double? And when I was watching them pour, it was more like almost a triple. I'm like, God bless you. It was amazing. And then the Euchre tribute was amazing, incredible. When they showed the bald eagle during the national anthem, I felt the spirit of 1776 running through me. It was beautiful. And then Elvin Rodriguez.
And then the game started.
And then the game started. And all of the jovial, the jubilee that was out there in the air seemed to just be stolen from us. And then it was like, oh my God. Why is Elvin Rodriguez pitching for the home opener, game 4?
Oh,
and then tonight, Chad Kroger. No, it's 2 first names. Chad Patrick. Who's got an ERA already of 18, is pitching in game 5. It seems like malpractice.
Is a little bit. And
so, yes, I think you can be allowed to overreact right now, because if injuries will happen as the season progresses, there will be some wins. But right now, it looks like there's going to be a lot of losses.
There will be passion. There will be entertainment. Seems like maybe more losses than passion and entertainment.
I had an epiphany today. People want to talk about Marco Donazio being cheap. I actually am pro Donazio for stealing sand from a beach. Like, he's a millionaire. How do rich people get richer? By using other people's things or money. Marco Donazio is a millionaire. He wants to be a billionaire. You're not going to be a billionaire by buying sand. Steal it from the billionaires. I think it's a brilliant move. But it dawned on me today, as cheap as he is, I don't think we're ever going to have torpedo bats in the lineup for the Brewers. It's cost money. I think
so.
I don't think I don't think he's going to spend for the torpedo bats.
I saw a tweet today where it's like, I feel bad for the little league mom and dad who are going to have to spend $300 on one of these for their kid who's hitting 170. I was a terrible basketball player. I once asked my parents for the latest pair of white Nike Hyper Dunks.
Oh.
And at this time, I think they were like $110 new. Shoes now are ridiculous. They're like eggs.
Yeah, $110, the kids will call you poor.
Yeah, that's
a poor kid.
That's a starting point for shoes. And I know my mother and father were like, this kid doesn't. I think the problem with my basketball career is I didn't watch basketball. I didn't have a good understanding of what I was supposed to be doing. I was just out there, But I'm like, Mom and Dad, these shoes are really cool. All the other cool kids have them. And they were like, all right, we'll do this for you. But I never played hockey. I never played So these torpedo bats, they're going to make their way into the little leagues. These parents are going to have to pony up.
I have a mental image right now. Were you the kid in the corner who would take the ball, pick up his dribble, and start flailing his elbows relentlessly when a defender came?
I mean, I don't.
But you look good with those shoes on.
I mean, I don't think I was that hopeless. I mean, we all have hopeless moments. By the way, that's called the triple threat position. And I think a lot of kids in AAU these days could learn a thing or two about the triple.
I see kids in AAU with full sleeve tattoos. They're like 10.
They're cooler than me.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah,
but torpedo bats after the Yankees. Now, Aaron Judge didn't use it, and you still got to go out there and you still got to perform. That's why I'm pro steroids too. I'm pro torpedo bat.
Sticky stuff.
I'm pro. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I'm pro. Whatever you got to do, get it done. So the Milwaukee Brewers, if I don't see a torpedo bat in the lineup by the end of the week, lost season, unserious organization, it's over.
Interesting.
I need at least one torpedo bat in the lineup.
Yeah, I think Reese Hoskins ordered one. I think I read over the weekend. So maybe Sweet Reese will be the one.
Will the 11 runs? When will the Brewers score 11 runs total? Next month?
Might be a while. Might be a while. We'll see. We got
negative 32 run differential.
Yeah,
something hadn't done
worst
since,
ever. 78 was the last time someone's been even close to that.
I looked this up. The Brewers had a stat. It was either run differential or so. It was like this hasn't happened since at least 1901. I think is what I saw. I looked it up. It was the first transatlantic radio broadcast, 1901.
Yeah, Euchre,
but a good Italian, by the way.
A good Italian.
And the transmission went, "Can I get some gabagool?" And then it was the invention of the vacuum. How did you get in a vacuum in 1901? Like, what'd you do? And there was one other thing. I'm like, okay. And now the Brewers are doing stuff that
has been done in
since 1901.
124 years. All right. Good things to consider. We got one more segment. We'll come back, and then the Bucks will be on WOZN tonight.
The Bucks will be on WOZN.
We'll talk more about that after this. Maybe we can. Speaking of teams that aren't killing it, we'll wrap up the show next. Thank you, Ebo, for joining me. This is fun.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Last few minutes of the Wisco Sports Show. The Bucks will be on tonight. And Ebo, these are things above my pay grade. In fact, I think Eric on I-90 or somebody asked me earlier, did you know the Bucks are going to be on tonight? Or no, he asked me, did you know before Thursday that WOZN wouldn't be the official home of the Brewers anymore in Madison?
We've known it for a while.
It's like I was the last to know, but I knew before Thursday.
Yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean? Like
yes,
I did
yes.
not. I showed up to work knowing that I had to do a full show, but we have a Bucks game tonight because we're still going to occasionally carry some live sports.
Yeah, there's
I've come to learn.
spillover from contractual obligations with other people carrying the Brewers and they also carry the Bucks, and we have partnered with them to have some of those games.
We'll clean it up.
Yeah,
We'll
so
take the
we have the
scraps.
Bucks starting tonight. Hopefully they get a win.
Budenholzer's return to Milwaukee too.
Do people still call for him to, like, oh, I can't believe that they did that to Budenholzer, this, that? I still hear Drew Holiday, but is Booty still a thing?
This is what's so annoying about Bud is up until the Bucks won the title, everyone wanted Bud fired. Not just Bucks, but like nationally, they're like, the Bucks should fire Bud. What are they doing? We win the title, and then they get bounced in the first round, and everyone's like, they need to fire Bud, and the Bucks do it. And then they make a bad hire, admittedly. And
The players helped hire him too, Adrian Griffin.
Yeah, that was Giannis liked him, apparently. And everyone's like, why did they ever fire Bud? It's like, did you morons go into a coma the last 2 years? Like, how does it? I don't get it. And by the way, the same thing is happening with Jair. Have you noticed this on your show?
Mm-hmm.
Is that everyone's like, well, why don't we keep Jair? I don't know, because he never plays and he's kind of kooky and he costs a lot of money. The same reason we all wanted to get rid of him 5 months ago. What changed?
Yeah.
Like, do people not forget?
People want to have their cake and eat it too.
Or not remember, I guess. Yeah, they definitely do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's simple. Booty. Bring back Booty, I guess. We'll see what happens.
He's not liked in Arizona.
Is he liked anywhere he goes? I mean, besides 2021?
I have learned by asking these people at the Bucks who've talked to other people around. Like, I guess the thing with Budenholzer is he is my way or the highway guy, which when you're winning works just fine. And when he was winning in Atlanta, it worked. And then when they weren't winning, they're like, enough of this. It's kind of same in Milwaukee. And now in Phoenix, like he's doing the Coach Bud thing and they're losing and everyone's like, screw this guy. We don't know.
Who's more likable, Doc Rivers or Mike Budenholzer?
Do you know Gerard in Delaware? Bill's show?
Oh, yeah.
He was telling me off the air, and I think because I'll get Gerard's takes off the air on politics or whatever. Like
he sent me some nice like replies to just random tweets, and he's like totally off topic. I'm like, this is awesome.
He's one of those people who's like, I need to tweet at Ebo, but I will like find an unrelated tweet and then tell him in the reply of that tweet.
Yeah,
which is kind of
it's
funny.
Amazing.
Denny and Holman does the same thing, by the way.
Denny, follow me on Twitter. I didn't know you had Twitter.
He rips off some tweets every once in a while. But Gerard was telling me today, and I think there's some truth to this. He's like, well, you know why Doc Rivers keeps getting jobs? It's like because of his politics. And I'm like, so I don't know if it's specifically that he's this outspoken, lefty.
Was he a big lib?
There is definite truth to owners liking a guy, right?
Huh.
Like if the owners like you, if the owners like having you around, you keep getting jobs. We see this all the time.
Oh,
in sports,
yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good boys club. Well, sorry, it's
Are you going to play nice and say the things we want you to? Yeah, that's so stupid. It's so stupid.
The left.
I just for the last couple of years, and I don't know when it's been going on for a longer than the last couple of years.
I kid, by the way.
But every once in a while, we find a word or we find a phrase. We're like, maybe we can update that. And a lot of the times I'm like, you know what? Probably can.
As you're leaving Madison today, real quick, when you go down the belt line, there will be a plane flying about that's for the right. And then there on the bridge on the belt line will be a big sign calling other people Nazis. So you have the best of both worlds happening right now on the belt line.
I guess
it's amazing.
I guess my point on PC culture is that some of the changes are like, all right, I understand.
Hey, next selection cycle, we're all going to meet at a park and fight each other.
I just don't understand. They own the team. Why are we calling them governors?
Hey, real quick.
Yes.
Tush push.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to ask you.
Neil deGrasse Tyson was on CNN talking about the tush push. The volume was off, thank God.
Yeah.
But I saw it. I took a picture. I said,
that's not something that I need.
I said, I'm going to go walk into that oncoming traffic of the Beltline.
I was very pleased to see that, actually a lot of people around the NFL, they want to get rid of this thing. They just didn't want to be the outspoken one.
I'm for freedom. Don't ban it. Just stop it.
I kind of hate it. And it'll piss off Ben Kenny. Thank you, Ebo, for joining me.
Much
love,
love, Grant.
Talk to you all tomorrow. Podcast up in a few minutes.